During my routine checkup, my doctor, Dr. Harrison, seemed nervous. His hands trembled as he took my blood pressure, and he kept glancing at the door. As I was leaving his office, he did something strange. He slipped a folded note into my purse and whispered, "Read this in private, and be careful." I didn't look at it until I was in the taxi. When I unfolded the paper, my hand started shaking. It said, "Helen, don't go home. Your family is planning something terrible. Run." What I discovered next would destroy everything I thought I knew about my own son. But they made one fatal mistake. They didn't know I had a secret that would change all of their lives forever. My name is Helen Turner, and I'm 68 years old. What I'm about to tell you is the most painful story of my life, but it's also the story of how I discovered my own strength when I needed it most. Because what happened to me could happen to anyone. It all started 3 months ago when I first noticed something was wrong. My son David had always been attentive, calling me regularly, visiting on weekends with his wife Jessica and their 16-year-old daughter Emma. After my husband Robert passed away 5 years ago, David became my whole world. Or so I thought. The first sign came on a Tuesday afternoon when I overheard a phone conversation David was having in my kitchen. He thought I was upstairs napping, but I'd come down for water. "Mom, we can't wait another 5 years," I heard him say in a hushed, urgent voice. "The debts are piling up. We need access to that money now." I froze on the stairs, my hand gripping the railing. "I don't care if it's unethical," he continued. "She's old. She won't even notice if we start small, just a few transfers here and there." My heart pounded so hard I thought he might hear it. Who was he talking about? What money? Then it hit me like a slap across the face. He was talking about me. I quietly went back upstairs, my legs trembling beneath me. I sat on the edge of my bed, trying to process what I just heard. David needed money? But he had a good job as an accountant. Jessica worked as a nurse. They lived in a beautiful house in the suburbs with 2 cars in the driveway. What debts could they possibly have that would make him talk about me like I was an obstacle? That night at dinner, I watched them carefully. David seemed completely normal, laughing at Emma's stories about school, complimenting my pot roast, asking if I needed help with anything around the house. Jessica was her usual polite self, though I noticed she barely looked at me directly. Her eyes would slide past me, focusing on her plate, her phone, anything but my face. And Emma, my sweet granddaughter, kept glancing at her phone under the table with a worried expression I'd never seen before. "Is everything okay, sweetheart?" I asked her. She jumped like I'd startled her, nearly dropping her phone. "Yeah, Grandma, everything's fine." But her voice was too high, too forced. After they left that evening, I stood at my living room window watching their car pull away, and a cold feeling settled in my stomach. Something was very, very wrong. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing other strange things, small things at first. Mail that used to come to my house suddenly stopped arriving. When I asked David about it, he explained he'd set up mail forwarding to his house to make things easier, since I sometimes forgot to check it. I hadn't forgotten to check my mail once in my entire life. Then my medication started arriving in different packaging. When I questioned it, Jessica, who worked at a medical clinic, assured me the pharmacy had simply changed suppliers. But the pills looked different, felt different. Then there were the constant questions about my memory. Jessica started calling me every few days, her voice dripping with false concern. "Helen, how are you feeling today? Any confusion? Forgetfulness?" "I'm fine, Jessica," I'd reply, confused by her persistence. "You know, sometimes people your age start experiencing cognitive decline without even realizing it," she'd say sweetly. "It might be good to get evaluated, just to be safe." "My mind is perfectly fine." Of course, of course. I'm just saying, if you ever start feeling confused or can't remember things, you need to tell us right away. We're here to help." Why was she so insistent on this? What was she trying to find out? Then came the financial help. One Sunday afternoon, David arrived at my house with a briefcase full of papers. "Mom, I've been thinking," he said, spreading documents across my kitchen table. "You're getting older, and managing all these bills and accounts must be stressful. I want to take that burden off your shoulders." "What burden?" I asked. "I've been managing my own finances for 50 years. I know. But wouldn't it be nice to not worry about it anymore?" He slid a stack of papers toward me. Just sign here, and here, and here. I'll handle everything. Bills, banking, investments. You won't have to think about any of it. I pulled the papers closer, squinting at the small print. What am I signing, David? Just standard power of attorney documents, he said smoothly. It means I can help you with banking and legal matters if you ever need it. Lots of families do this. It's completely normal. But something in his tone made alarm bells go off in my head. I don't think I need that right now, I said carefully. I'm perfectly capable of managing my own affairs. His smile tightened, the warmth drained from his eyes. Mom, I'm trying to help you. Don't you trust your own son? The question felt like a trap. Of course I trust you, I said softly. I'm just not ready to hand over control of everything yet. Control? He let out a sharp laugh. This isn't about control. This is about protecting you from making mistakes. You're not getting any younger. I haven't made any mistakes, David. Not yet. But what happens when you do? What happens when you forget to pay a bill? Or you give your bank information to a scammer? Or you make a bad investment? Then I'll deal with it, like I've dealt with everything else in my life. His jaw clenched. For a moment, I saw something flash across his face. Anger, frustration, something dark I'd never seen in my son before. Fine, he said coldly, gathering up his papers. But don't come crying to me when you need help and it's too late. He left that day without saying goodbye. Through my front window, I watched him get into his car where Jessica was waiting. Even from a distance, I could see them arguing. Jessica's hands were moving wildly. David was gripping the steering wheel so hard his knuckles looked white. Then he slammed his palm against the dashboard. They sat there for 5 more minutes, arguing intensely before finally driving away. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying that phone conversation. Jessica's questions about my memory. David's insistence on those power of attorney documents. Were they just being concerned, overprotective children? Or was something more sinister happening? At 3 a.m., I got out of bed and went to my study. I opened my filing cabinet where I kept all my important documents, bank statements, investment accounts, property deeds, insurance policies. Everything seemed to be in order. But then I noticed something odd. My checkbook had been moved. It wasn't where I always kept it, tucked in the back left corner of the top drawer. Now it was in the front, slightly askew. I opened it carefully. 3 checks were missing from the middle of the book. Not from the front, where I would have noticed immediately, but from the middle, torn out carefully so the gaps wouldn't be obvious. My hands started shaking. Someone had been in my filing cabinet. Someone had taken checks from my account. And there was only one person who had a key to my house besides me. David. 2 weeks later came the doctor's appointment that changed everything. Dr. Harrison had been my physician for over 20 years. He knew me, knew my health history, knew I was in excellent condition for a woman my age. But that Tuesday morning, from the moment I walked into his office, something felt wrong. Dr. Harrison seemed nervous, jumpy. His hands trembled as he took my blood pressure. He kept glancing at the door as if he expected someone to burst in at any moment. Everything looks perfect, Helen, he said after the examination, his voice oddly strained. Your heart is strong. Your blood work is excellent. Your cognitive function is completely normal. He emphasized those last words strangely, as if he wanted me to remember them, to hold on to them. You have many good years ahead of you, he continued, looking directly into my eyes with unusual intensity. As I gathered my things to leave, Dr. Harrison moved closer, close enough that I could see the worry lines deepening around his eyes. Helen, he said quietly, barely above a whisper, I need you to trust me. Before I could respond, he slipped a folded piece of paper into my open purse. His movements were so quick and subtle, I almost missed it. Take care of yourself, he said loudly, for anyone who might be listening. Then softer, and be very, very careful who you trust. My heart started racing. What had he given me? Why was he being so secretive? I wanted to check immediately, to read whatever he'd slipped into my purse, but something in his expression told me to wait, to be patient, to act normal. In the taxi home, my phone rang before I could look at the note. It was Jessica. Helen, how was your appointment? Her voice was too eager, too interested. What did Dr. Harrison say? He said I'm perfectly healthy, I replied carefully. There was a pause, a long, significant pause. Did he mention anything about memory issues? Cognitive testing? Any concerns at all? No. Why would he? Oh, no reason. Her voice turned syrupy sweet. It's just that David and I have been worried. You've seemed a bit confused lately. I haven't been confused about anything, Jessica. Well, sometimes people don't realize when they're having problems, she continued, as if I hadn't spoken. Maybe we should get a second opinion, just to be absolutely sure. A second opinion? On what? I was perfectly fine. I don't need a second opinion, Jessica. Dr. Harrison has been my doctor for 20 years. If something was wrong, he would tell me. Of course, of course. I just want what's best for you. We all do. After I hung up, I finally pulled out the note Dr. Harrison had given me. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely unfold it. What I read made my blood run cold. Helen, your son and daughter-in-law came to see me last week. They asked me to certify that you're suffering from dementia and are no longer capable of managing your own affairs. They brought forged medical records, records I've never seen before, claiming you've been experiencing severe confusion, memory loss, and personality changes. When I told them I couldn't sign false documents, they offered me $10,000. When I refused, Jessica threatened to file a complaint with the medical board, claiming I'd been negligent in your care. Helen, I've known you for 20 years. There is nothing wrong with your mind. You are one of the sharpest, most capable patients I have. I don't know exactly what they're planning, but I fear for your safety. Please, don't sign any documents they give you. Don't go along with any evaluations they suggest. Protect your assets immediately. Consider consulting a lawyer. Most importantly, be careful. People who are desperate for money can be dangerous. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this. I wish I had better news. If you need anything, my personal cell phone number is below. Stay safe, Dr. Harrison. I read the note 3 times. Each time the words felt more unbelievable. My son, my own son, the boy I'd raised, the boy I'd loved unconditionally for 43 years. He was trying to have me declared incompetent. He wanted to lock me away. He'd forged medical records with my name on them, and he was willing to bribe a doctor to make it happen, all to get access to my money. The taxi driver asked if I was okay. I realized I was crying without even knowing it. I'm fine, I lied, wiping my eyes. Just some bad news. When we arrived at my house, I saw David's car in my driveway. That was strange. It was 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. He should have been at work. I paid the driver and walked slowly toward my front door, my mind racing. Should I confront him? Pretend I didn't know? Call the police? Before I could decide, the door opened. David stood there with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Mom, perfect timing. We need to talk. I walked into my own house feeling like a stranger. David was standing in my living room. Jessica sat on my couch, looking perfectly comfortable, like she owned the place, and on my coffee table were stacks and stacks of papers. What's all this? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Mom, sit down, David said in that patient tone you use with children. We have something important to discuss. I remained standing. I'm fine here. What's going on? Jessica spoke up, her voice dripping with false concern. Helen, we've been very worried about you. You've been showing signs of confusion, forgetfulness. We think it's time to consider some additional support. I don't need support. I'm perfectly fine. That's exactly what people with cognitive decline say, David replied smoothly. They don't realize they're having problems. My doctor just examined me this morning. He said I'm in perfect health. Yes, well, Jessica said, exchanging a look with David. We think it's time for a second opinion. We've arranged for a specialist to see you tomorrow. I'm not seeing another doctor. There's nothing wrong with me. Mom, don't be stubborn, David said, his voice hardening. This is happening whether you like it or not. We're trying to help you. Help me? Or help yourselves? The room went silent. David's face flushed red. What is that supposed to mean? It means I know what you've been doing. I pulled Dr. Harrison's note from my purse. I know you tried to bribe my doctor. I know you forged medical records. I know exactly what you're planning. Jessica stood up abruptly. That doctor is lying. He's not lying, and you know it. David stepped toward me, and for the first time in my life, I felt afraid of my own son. Mom, you're confused. You're not thinking clearly. That note is probably a fabrication. Dr. Harrison is getting old himself. Maybe he's the one with dementia. I also know about the missing checks from my account. I continued, my voice getting stronger. I know someone's been going through my files. I know you have a key to my house that I never gave you. Those checks? David laughed, but it sounded forced. I borrowed a little money. I was going to pay you back. It's not a big deal. Forging my signature is a big deal, David. It's called fraud. You're being paranoid, Jessica said sharply. This is exactly the kind of irrational behavior that proves you need help. Get out of my house. What? I said get out, both of you, right now. David's expression turned cold. Calculating. Mom, I don't think you understand the situation. Those papers on the table? They're already signed. By you. My stomach dropped. What? All those times you've been signing for packages, for mail, for deliveries over the past few months? He smiled. We were very careful to slip some other documents in there. Documents that give us legal authority over your affairs. You forged my signature? We didn't forge anything. You signed them yourself. You just didn't read what you were signing. He picked up one of the documents. This gives me power of attorney. This one gives us access to your bank accounts. And this one. He held up another paper. This one is your signature confirming that you requested an evaluation for memory care placement. I felt like the floor was dropping out from under me. Those signatures aren't valid. I didn't know what I was signing. Any lawyer will. Any lawyer will see your signature on legal documents, Jessica interrupted. And when we bring in our medical expert who will testify that you've been experiencing severe cognitive decline, what do you think will happen? You're trying to steal my life. We're trying to help you before you hurt yourself, David said coldly. Now, you're going to that evaluation tomorrow, and you're going to cooperate, because if you don't... He paused. Well, we might have to have you involuntarily committed for your own safety. You can't do that. Actually, Mom, we can. We have medical documentation, we have signed forms, we have witnesses who will say you've been acting erratically. We have everything we need. Jessica stood up, smoothing her skirt. The facility we've chosen is very nice. You'll have a small room with a window. Meals are provided. There's even a common area where you can watch TV with the other residents. You've already chosen a facility? Of course. We've been planning this for months. Months. They'd been planning this for months. While I cooked them dinner, while I bought Christmas presents for Emma, while I told David I loved him, they were plotting to lock me away and steal everything I had. Get out, I said again, this time with more force. Get out of my house right now, or I'm calling the police. David laughed. And tell them what? That your concerned son is trying to help his elderly mother who's been showing signs of dementia? Go ahead. Call them. See whose side they take. He was right, and he knew it. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m., Jessica said sweetly. The evaluation specialist will be here. Please be ready. They walked out of my house like they'd already won, like I'd already lost. I stood there in my living room, surrounded by papers that apparently had my forged signature, and realized I was in more danger than I'd ever imagined. They weren't just trying to steal my money. They were trying to erase me, to make me disappear into a facility where no one would listen to me, where no one would believe me, where I would slowly fade away while they sold my house, spent my savings, and lived the life they thought they deserved. I looked at the papers on my coffee table. Then I picked up my phone and made a call that would change everything. Hello, I need a lawyer. Immediately. It's an emergency. Within 2 hours, I was sitting in the office of Margaret Chen, one of the top elder law attorneys in the state. I'd seen her interviewed on the news about financial exploitation cases. If anyone could help me, it was her. Mrs. Turner, she said after I explained everything, what you're describing is called elder financial abuse, and it's far more common than people realize. Can they really do this? Can they really have me committed against my will? If they have forged medical documents and falsified signatures, they can try, but here's what they don't know. The law protects you more than they think. She pulled out a legal pad and started taking notes. First, we need to secure your assets immediately. Today, right now, we're going to open new bank accounts they don't know about and transfer all your funds. All of them? Every penny. They already have your check information, which means they can drain your current accounts. We need to move faster than they can. What about the documents they say I signed? If you didn't knowingly sign them, they're not valid. We'll challenge every single one. But Helen, I need to ask you something very important. What? Do you have any assets they don't know about? Anything at all? I hesitated. This was the secret I'd kept for 5 years, the secret even David didn't know. I have investments overseas that my late husband set up before he died. Margaret's eyebrows rose. How much are we talking about? About $1.2 million, plus 2 properties. She stared at me. Your son doesn't know about this? No one knows. Robert set it up as a surprise for our retirement. He died before he could enjoy it, and I never told anyone. I lived off my pension and savings. I wanted to leave the overseas money untouched for emergencies. Mrs. Turner, this changes everything. How? Because your son thinks you're a vulnerable elderly woman with maybe $500,000 in assets. He thinks he can bully you into submission. He has no idea you have the resources to fight back. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt a spark of hope. What do we do? Margaret smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of a warrior preparing for battle. We let them think they're winning, and then we destroy them. Over the next 48 hours, Margaret worked like a woman possessed. She filed emergency restraining orders. She moved all my money to new accounts. She hired a private investigator to document everything. She even got me a new doctor to do an independent cognitive evaluation, which I passed with flying colors. Now, she said during our meeting on Thursday morning, here's what's going to happen. They're expecting you to show up for that fake evaluation tomorrow, correct? Yes, at 10 a.m. You're not going. I'm not? No. Instead, tomorrow at 10 a.m., the police will be serving them with restraining orders and criminal complaints. Fraud, forgery, attempted exploitation of an elderly person, conspiracy to commit false imprisonment. Will that be enough to stop them? It's just the beginning. While they're dealing with that, my investigator will be gathering evidence, phone records, bank statements, witness interviews. By the time we're done, we'll have an airtight case. What about Emma? I asked, thinking of my granddaughter. She's only 16. She doesn't deserve to be caught in the middle of this. That's up to you. But Helen, you need to understand something. Your son and daughter-in-law have been planning this for months. Maybe longer. They've forged documents, bribed doctors, stolen from you. These aren't good people who made a mistake. These are criminals. She was right, but that didn't make it hurt any less. There's one more thing, Margaret said carefully. I want to install security cameras in your home. Hidden ones. Because I don't think they're going to stop just because we filed charges. You think they'll try something else? I think desperate people do desperate things, and your son just learned that his plan is falling apart. That makes him dangerous. So we installed cameras. In the living room, the kitchen, my bedroom, my study, everywhere. And we waited. The next morning at exactly 10:15 a.m., my phone started ringing. It was David. I let it ring. He called 7 more times. Then Jessica called. Then texts started flooding in. Mom, where are you? The doctor is here. You need to come home right now. This is unacceptable. We're trying to help you. Fine. You leave us no choice. We're filing emergency guardianship papers. I sat in Margaret's office, watching my phone blow up with increasingly angry messages, and felt strangely calm. For the first time in months, I wasn't afraid. At 10:47 a.m., Margaret got a call from the police officer who'd been sent to serve the restraining orders. Miss Chen, you need to hear this, the officer said, and she put him on speaker. When we arrived to serve the papers, the son became violent. He tried to grab the documents from my partner. He was screaming that his mother was insane, that she'd been manipulated, that we were interfering with a medical emergency. Did you arrest him? Not yet, but his wife made a statement you need to hear. There was rustling on the line. I recorded it with her permission. Listen. Jessica's voice came through, sharp and furious. That manipulative old bitch planned this. She's been pretending to be confused so she could accuse us of trying to help her. She's always been controlling, always trying to keep David under her thumb. Well, she's not going to win. We'll prove she's incompetent. We'll get a court order. We'll have her locked away if it's the last thing we do. The officer came back on. Should I arrest them for making threats? Margaret looked at me. What do you want to do, Helen? What did I want? I wanted my son back, the son I'd raised. The boy who used to make me Mother's Day cards and tell me he loved me. But that son was gone. Maybe he'd never really existed. Yes, I said quietly, arrest them. The legal process moved quickly after that. With the recorded threats, the forged documents, and the attempted bribery of Dr. Harrison, the prosecutor had everything she needed. David and Jessica were charged with multiple felonies: elder exploitation, fraud, forgery, criminal conspiracy, attempted false imprisonment. The trial was 3 months later. I had to testify, had to sit on that witness stand and tell a room full of strangers how my own son had tried to destroy me. The hardest part wasn't describing what they'd done. It was watching David on the stand, lying, claiming he was only trying to help me, that I'd misunderstood his intentions, that he loved me and would never hurt me. He was convincing. He cried real tears. He talked about how worried he'd been about my health, how frightened he was that I might hurt myself. If I hadn't had evidence, recordings, documents, Dr. Harrison's testimony, I might have believed him myself. But the jury saw through it. Guilty on all counts. David got 4 years in prison, Jessica got 3. When the verdict was read, Jessica started screaming at me across the courtroom. "This is your fault. You destroyed our lives. We only wanted what was rightfully ours." Rightfully theirs, as if I owed them my freedom, my dignity, my life. Security had to remove her from the courtroom. David just stared at me with empty eyes. No more tears, no more pretending. Just cold hatred for the mother who'd refused to disappear when he wanted her to. That was 6 months ago. Today, I'm sitting in my new home, a smaller house in a different neighborhood where no one knows my story. I sold the old house, couldn't bear to live there anymore, surrounded by memories that turned out to be lies. I've started volunteering with an organization that helps seniors recognize signs of financial exploitation. Once a month, I give talks at community centers. The warning signs are often subtle, I tell the audiences. Adult children who suddenly become very interested in your finances. Relatives who pressure you to sign documents. Family members who isolate you from friends or doctors who might notice what's happening. Last week, an 82-year-old woman came up to me after my talk. "My daughter has been asking me to sign over my house," she said nervously. "She says it's just for estate planning. But after hearing your story, I'm not sure I should." "Trust your instincts," I told her. "And before you sign anything, talk to an independent lawyer. Not one your daughter recommends, one you find yourself." She hugged me, tears in her eyes. "Thank you. You might have just saved my life." That's when I knew that everything I went through, as painful as it was, had a purpose. As for Emma, my granddaughter, 3 months ago, she showed up at my door. She'd run away from the foster home where she'd been placed after her parents were arrested. "Grandma," she sobbed, "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know what they were planning. They told me you were sick, that you needed help. I didn't know they were lying." I looked at this frightened 16-year-old girl and made a choice. I could turn her away, protect myself from any more betrayal, or I could give her the chance her father never deserved. "Come inside," I said. "Emma lives with me now. Legally, I'm her guardian until she turns 18. She's in therapy, processing the trauma of watching both her parents go to prison, processing the guilt of not seeing what they were doing, processing the fear that she might turn out like them." "Grandma," she asked me last week, "how did you forgive me?" "There's nothing to forgive," I replied. "You were a child. They manipulated you just like they tried to manipulate me." "But don't you hate them? Don't you hate Dad for what he did?" I thought about that for a long time. "I don't hate him," I said finally. "I hate what he did. I hate the choices he made. But hating him would only poison me. It wouldn't hurt him. He's already in prison. It would only hurt me." "So you've forgiven him?" "Forgiveness doesn't mean what he did was okay. It doesn't mean I'm letting him back into my life. It just means I'm not carrying the weight of his sins anymore." Emma nodded slowly. Do you think he'll ever really be sorry?" "I don't know, sweetheart. Some people are sorry they got caught. Some people are sorry they hurt someone. And some people never feel sorry at all." "Which one is Dad?" I looked at this girl who so desperately wanted her father to be better than he was. "I think your father is sorry his plan didn't work. Whether he's sorry he hurt me, I don't know. Maybe someday, maybe never." "David has written me letters from prison, 4 so far. They all say variations of the same thing. I made mistakes. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Please help me. Please visit me. I haven't responded to any of them. Maybe someday I will. Maybe someday I'll walk into that prison visiting room and tell him exactly how much he destroyed. But not today. Today I'm healing. Today I'm rebuilding my relationship with Emma, teaching her that family should be about love and respect, not about what you can take from each other. Today, I'm living my life on my own terms. And you know what? For the first time in years, I'm actually happy. I'm 68 years old. I'm healthy. I'm independent. I'm financially secure. I'm surrounded by new friends who value me for who I am. And I have a granddaughter who's learning from my example that it's never too late to stand up for yourself. My message to anyone watching this is simple. If you're a senior and your family is pressuring you to sign documents, to give them control, to see doctors you don't know, to move into facilities you don't want, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. You are not a burden. You are not an obstacle. You are a human being who deserves dignity, respect, and control over your own life. Don't let anyone, not even family, take that away from you. And to the adult children watching this, your parents are not ATM machines. They are not your retirement plan. They are not obstacles standing between you and an inheritance. They are human beings who loved you, raised you, sacrificed for you. They deserve to live their final years in peace and dignity. If you're struggling financially, ask for help honestly. Don't manipulate. Don't forge. Don't steal. Don't try to have them declared incompetent, because the damage you do to that relationship can never be fully repaired. David will be out of prison in 3.5 years. Emma asks me sometimes if I'll see him when he's released. I don't know yet. That's a bridge I'll cross when I come to it. For now, I'm focused on living, really living. Not just surviving while my family plots against me, but actually living with purpose, with joy, with the freedom to make my own choices. And I'm using my voice to protect other seniors who might be going through what I went through. Because if my story can help even one person recognize the warning signs, if it can give even one elderly person the courage to fight back, then everything I went through will have been worth it. Before I go, I want you to know something important. It's never too late to start over. It's never too late to protect yourself. It's never too late to choose dignity over convenience, truth over lies, self-respect over family obligation. I lost my son to his own greed and desperation, but I found myself in the process, and I discovered that I'm stronger, braver, and more capable than I ever knew. That doctor's note saved my life, but I'm the one who chose to fight for it. Remember that. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more real-life stories that matter. Tell me in the comments what city you're watching from, and share any experiences you or your loved ones have had with elder exploitation or financial abuse. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to find the courage to take action before it's too late. And if you're going through something similar right now, please know this: you are not alone. There are resources available. There are lawyers who specialize in elder law. There are organizations that can help. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't ignore the warning signs. Don't let fear or guilt keep you silent. Your life, your freedom, your dignity, they're worth fighting for. I learned that the hard way, but I'm grateful I learned it while I still had time to do something about it. One more thing before I end this. Last month, I received a letter, not from David, from Dr. Harrison. He wrote to tell me he was retiring, that my case had been one of the most difficult of his career, not because of the medicine, but because of the moral weight of knowing what my family was planning. "I almost didn't give you that note," he wrote. "I worried it would destroy your family, but then I realized they had already destroyed themselves with their choices. I was just giving you the information you needed to save yourself." He ended the letter with something that made me cry. "Helen, in my 40 years as a doctor, I've seen many families torn apart by greed. But I've rarely seen someone handle it with the grace and strength you showed. You didn't just save yourself. You saved your granddaughter, and you're now saving others by sharing your story. That takes a special kind of courage. Your husband would be proud. I know I am." I have that letter framed in my living room now. On the days when I feel sad about losing David, when I wonder if I made the right choice, when I question whether I should have just given them what they wanted to keep the peace, I read that letter. And I remember that keeping the peace isn't worth losing yourself. It's been almost a year now since that doctor's appointment that changed everything. Emma just got accepted to college with a full scholarship. She wants to study social work to help families in crisis. I want to help people before they get to the point where they're hurting each other, she told me. I want to catch the problems early. I'm so proud of her I could burst. She's proof that we don't have to repeat the patterns of the generation before us. That we can choose differently, be better. As for me, I'm planning a trip to Italy next month. Something I've always wanted to do but never did because I was always putting everyone else's needs first. Robert and I used to talk about going to Italy for our 50th anniversary. We never made it to that anniversary, but I'm going anyway for both of us because life is too short and too precious to keep waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is now. The perfect time to stand up for yourself is now. The perfect time to start living your life on your own terms is now. I look at the woman I was a year ago, frightened, confused, questioning her own sanity, surrounded by people who claim to love her while plotting to destroy her. And then I look at the woman I am now, confident, independent, using her voice to protect others, rebuilding meaningful relationships with people who genuinely care. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It happened through a series of small, brave choices. The choice to read that note instead of throwing it away. The choice to call a lawyer instead of confronting my family alone. The choice to trust my instincts instead of accepting their version of reality. The choice to fight instead of surrender. Each choice built on the one before it until I became someone I barely recognized, but in the best possible way. I became the woman I was always meant to be, before I spent decades making myself smaller to accommodate everyone else's expectations. Sometimes people ask me, do you regret having David? Do you wish you'd never adopted him? The answer is complicated. I don't regret the 40 years of loving him. I don't regret the sacrifices I made when he was a child who needed a mother. I don't regret the joy he brought me before greed poisoned his heart. But I do regret not seeing the warning signs sooner. I regret making excuses for behaviors I should have questioned. I regret teaching him, through my actions, that he could take and take and take without ever giving back. Maybe if I'd set better boundaries earlier, things would have turned out differently. Or maybe this was always who he was going to become, and nothing I did or didn't do would have changed it. I'll never know. And I've made peace with not knowing. What I do know is this. I gave him every opportunity to be a good person, to make good choices, to value our relationship over money. He chose differently, and his choices are not my burden to carry. There's a quote I read recently that made me think of my journey. Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. That doctor's note, that terrible moment of discovering my family's betrayal, that was my rock bottom. But from that lowest point, I built something new, something stronger, something true. I rebuilt my life on a foundation of self-respect, clear boundaries, and the understanding that love without respect isn't really love at all. And that foundation is solid in a way my old life never was. Because it's built on truth, not on the lies I told myself to avoid seeing what was right in front of me. To everyone watching this who's struggling with difficult family relationships, who's questioning whether you're being too harsh or too suspicious, who's wondering if you should just give in to keep the peace. Listen to that small voice inside you that knows something is wrong. That voice is your intuition, your instinct for self-preservation, your inner wisdom that sees what your heart doesn't want to acknowledge. Don't silence that voice to make others comfortable. Don't doubt yourself because someone else is gaslighting you. Don't sacrifice your well-being for people who wouldn't do the same for you. You deserve better. You deserve so much better. And to the caregivers, the adult children who are genuinely trying to help their aging parents, thank you. Thank you for doing it with respect and love. Thank you for including your parents in decisions about their own lives. Thank you for seeing them as capable adults who deserve autonomy, not as children who need to be controlled. Thank you for being the kind of son or daughter that David could have been but chose not to be. Your parents are lucky to have you. Don't let stories like mine make you doubt the value of the love and care you're providing. The difference between you and people like David is simple. You're acting from love. He was acting from greed. That difference changes everything. I'm going to end this story now, but before I do, I want to leave you with one final thought. Your life is yours. No matter how old you are, no matter how dependent others think you should be, no matter what anyone else believes they're entitled to, your life is yours. You have the right to make your own decisions. You have the right to keep your own money. You have the right to stay in your own home. You have the right to say no. And you have the right to fight like hell when someone tries to take any of that away from you. I'm 68 years old, and I'm just now learning what it means to truly put myself first. Don't wait as long as I did. Start now. Today, this moment, decide that you matter, that your comfort matters, that your choices matter, and then live like you believe it. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of my journey toward healing and justice. And thank you for letting me help you recognize the warning signs that might save your life or the life of someone you love. If this story helped you, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. You never know who you might be saving. Tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. I love knowing how far this message has traveled. Until next time, take care of yourselves. And remember, it's never too late to take back your life. With love, gratitude, and hope for all of us, Helen Turner.